Hey guys, so today we're going to talk about why I even have a YouTube channel. As we drive our truck to pick up the Tesla, I thought I'd just do a little informal chat and explain why I have a YouTube channel. Why do I feel the need to do this? Well, just to kind of be transparent and maybe set expectations for everyone here as you watch the videos past and going forward. Not really much will change, maybe hopefully better quality, but anyway. I started this channel because I was getting into electric vehicles. I decided I was going to buy an electric vehicle, and while there's tons of information online, there really wasn't at that time in 2020, end of 2019, there wasn't really much information that was relevant to northern British Columbia, Canada. And we have very different climate here, very different conditions here than, say, Vancouver and other places around. And the information at the time was very poor. Things like charging infrastructure, what it's like driving in the winter, what to expect. So I was really hoping to find that content where the places I was looking at, I couldn't find that content. So electric vehicles was definitely one of the reasons why I started the channel. I thought, you know what, there seems to be a lack of relevant information for northern BC. The information is different. And as I figure it out, I'll share that information. So it's really a desire to share the information I wish that I could find at that time. And then the other part, at the same time, around the same time in 2020, I started getting into hiking. COVID hit all of us, and went out for a hike with some of my kids in the backcountry, and I was in terrible shape. They were all climbing the mountain, and I was having a rough time, and I said to myself, it's time to wisen up, get in better shape, and that's what I did. I started connected with a local hiking group here, and started learning about hiking, started watching YouTube videos. And so why do I talk about hiking on the channel? Aren't there a ton of YouTube channels that talk about hiking out there? Yes, there's a ton of them. And so, whoops, I got to turn here. And yes, I checked my shoulder. Anyways, long story short is, when it comes to hiking, an area that was definitely lacking was information relevant, again, to northern BC hikes and trails. And we'll continue that talk as we switch from the truck into the electric vehicle. That's better. Much better, I must admit. Secret passwords. Now, where were we? We were talking about why the channel. And I was talking about hiking. Well, now we're driving the electric car, which, to be honest, the purchase of this car kind of started the whole idea for the channel, sharing information for northern BC. Hiking, let's talk about that. So northern BC, what, Mark? There were no trails up here? There's no information about trails up here? Yes, of course there was. There's books you can buy in the bookstore. There's a hiking group in town that takes people out weekly. Lots of great information there. But what I was looking for was specific information about those trails. I was looking for that rich media experience. Some nice pictures showing what the trail looked like. And maybe video clips showing the conditions, is this a trail that I would find cool, that I would want to go on? And you can't really get that in a book that just has text talking about trails, right? That'll tell you in textual ways how to get to the trail, but it doesn't show you what that looks like, that experience. And so I thought, there's a gap there, and the channel is used to share all the information about the wonderful backcountry we have in northern British Columbia. Kind of started off just to kind of collect that gap of trail information, navigate to Integris Credit Union. All right, let's pick one. And we want the one downtown, which, says there's 2 of them here. That's interesting. Wow, whatever, I'll pick this one. So anyway, getting back to that, the desire there, so now we got full self-driving, so of course I have to pay attention, but I can speak a bit more freely. So, from terms of hiking, the channel is there to give that rich media experience and give really good details so people can find where some of those trails are, and even give them a visual picture of what that trail looks like going up. You know, some of these trails are maybe not easy to find the trailhead. Some of the trails are difficult to follow the route. Sometimes it's a bit overgrown. Logs kind of block the trail. People get lost, stuff like that. Obviously, it's not meant to replace a mountain guide or something of that nature, but trying to help the experience so that people get a little more confidence. Let's be clear, guys. 3 years ago, I guess 4 years coming up this year, 4 years ago, back in 2020, I had no idea what I was doing in the backcountry. I had no idea what electric cars were all about. I mean, this was how much information I had. And so the channel is really all about that experience of sharing what I learn about electric vehicles, what I've learned about hiking in the backcountry here in northern BC. And I'm not really trying to duplicate the information that's already out there. I'll be honest. I'm trying to maybe in some cases there'll be an overlap. I'll share an opinion, a perspective on something, but really the goal of the channel is to fill in the gaps of things that are missing out there to provide information on those 2 categories. Technology is another thing. The odd time I will do a technology talk. I do that full time, that's my job. As a software architect working for a large software company, I've done technology for 30 years, it's still a passion. But I feel that the YouTube side of things for technology talks is filled. So every once in a while when I do a tech talk, I'm going to try to do it where I think there's a gap, where there's maybe some missing information at that point in time, and that's really what it's going to be about. So really it's a sharing opportunity for areas of information that are my passion, in which I would like to share with the community. And there's things that I wish existed for me in those areas. So if I'm going to take the time to learn it and do it, I'm going to share it with everybody else. That's kind of what the channel's all about. Hope you guys understand that, and I hope that jives with what you're looking for. Again, I don't have any, I don't have any thoughts about that I'm going to be some big YouTuber and I'm going to have an income from YouTube full time and all that. Sure, that can be a possibility, that could happen, but I mean, I could win the lottery too, right? I could strike it rich at the casino, not that I ever gamble, but I mean, the odds are just, similar to that. So let's be realistic and let's bring it back down to earth. This is the technology side of things, and most of the technology on this channel, I'm using technology to provide the content, right? The odd time I will create a video if I think something should be addressed in a particular area that's important to me, but I'm using technology to drive the EVs, to understand how EVs work. I'm using things like GoPros and drones and microphone systems and all kinds of technology to capture this rich content and learning how all that works. It's not just a matter of throwing a camera on your chest and walking out in the backcountry. When you get home, you got to pull all those files together and make something intelligent out of that. So then there's all this software that you have to install to pull all that content together and tell a story. So part of this journey on the channel, that's a challenge for me. I have children, and over the years you tell them stories, but I'm trying to tell stories to adults, not children for the most part. So I'm trying to figure out how to tell a story using this technology, and that's a new thing for me. Somebody want this? Go get it. So to continue that discussion, channel also focuses on providing information regarding hiking in the the backcountry, the outdoors. And of course, there's tons of channels that talk about that. But the idea here is to provide information that I haven't seen around. Maybe trails in northern BC, maybe some nice camp areas, some backcountry that's either very little information known about it or very little information shared about it. And this would be the kind of information I was hoping to see online years ago when I started getting into this stuff. And thought, you know, as I go about and experience these places, I can share that with people around, and hopefully they will appreciate that and benefit, and maybe they'll share something back. So that's kind of the idea behind the channel. So I was just saying the adventure dog lives for sticks, but out here in the backcountry, not everything lives, period. And so that's another reason for the channel, is you very quickly begin to realize that there's a lot more things to consider, a lot more dangers in the backcountry. And there are a lot of tips that can help people avoid said problems if they simply knew about those things. Like I remember thinking, hey, I watched a channel where somebody talked about, hey, you should wear these hiking boots, or you should wear some kind of hiking boots because foot protection is really important. True. So I bought some and off I went on a big hike with the local hiking group, and the first time I went, I got blisters on my feet. Why did I get blisters on my feet? Because anytime you get new equipment, it's not a good idea to work or wear in that equipment on a big hike in the backcountry. You want to break in those shoes. You want to get everything all worked out close to home before you get out into the backcountry. And you learn the hard way. And now you have blisters, and now you need to walk 20, 30, 40 kilometers out with blisters, and maybe you don't have the proper first aid kit or patches. Didn't even think of that scenario, whatever. So like I said, there's a lot of things that we're going to cover on this channel, and yeah, some people are going to cover some of those topics. We're going to cover it in a sort of holistic way, in terms of 3 years ago we started from this much information, 0, to today. You know, we're doing multi-day backpacking trips in the backcountry, learning how to do that safely, camping in the winter in minus 20 to minus 30 conditions, and everything in between. All right, so we're talking about the purpose of this YouTube channel, and there's another important topic I did want to cover. Try to make sure this video is not too long, but cover the thoughts that we want to cover. This issue would be social media. Some people that we've come across over the years have expressed some concern about the information we're sharing on social media. Their concern is multifold, but things like, hey, if you share too much information about these trails, they'll be overrun by people. You know, like in Vancouver, you get to one of those trails, you have hundreds of people parked at the trailhead, and you know, they don't want that. We have our nice peaceful areas here in northern BC. Trails are not overrun, etc. And there's other arguments too, but why would I share this information? Well, let's cover that. So, number one, I help run a Facebook hiking group called Prince Georgian Area Hiking. And many times the questions come up, how do I get to this trail? What are the conditions on this trail? Where should I go? Yeah, I've got this much time to do a trail on this day. Where do you recommend I go? How do I get to that trail? I drove to that trail, I couldn't find the trailhead. You know, these questions just keep coming up over and over and over again. So one of the ideas of the channel, definitely, I'll be honest, is to address those frequently asked questions that people, year after year, they ask the same questions. Point them to a video, there's the answer, right? Simple. That's one way to do it. But more philosophically, social media, should you be sharing the details or should you keep it a secret? Well, there's a problem with that logic. Now, I'm sure both sides of the story can be argued, but it's my channel, so I'm sharing my perspective, right? So on the one side, you have this idea that it'll be overrun, there'll be tons of people. All you do is tell them some details and there'll be hundreds of people going there. First of all, northern BC doesn't have the population really for that to happen. I'm gonna be honest, Gerald and myself, we've probably spent over 1,000 kilometers in the past year in the backcountry, all over northern BC. And I'm gonna say less than 1% of the time we've even seen one individual over all those over 1,000 kilometers. And this is, you look at the videos, you're gonna see, we're talking, you know, 50 or more hikes, different areas, different places, different times, weekends, weekdays, backcountry, multi-day trips, mostly day trips. So we're not too concerned about that, but actually we have the opposite concern, and that is we're seeing the use on these trails very low. There's not a lot of participation. There's not a lot of people heading out onto these trails, and what happens is the trails get lost over time. Less people doing maintenance. BC Parks, Recs and Trails BC, all those groups and others, they put their effort and their money into the trails that people use most. So some of these old trails, and Gerald and I have made videos, you look in the backcountry road maps like Swift Current Creek and others, where they show a road there heading into the backcountry when that road's completely overgrown and it's lost. And there's a lot of places like that. And places are starting to become like that. And so what happens is, there's a catch-22. Yeah, you can get too many people coming to a trail. And that happens when you have highly densified areas where there's millions of people living, or hundreds of thousands of people living. They're all close to the area, and they're all fighting for the same resources. That's not just trails. That's a lot of things. Like just getting from point A to point B in town. So fighting over resources, not enough options, not enough lanes on the road, not enough competition in the stores, whatever. So yeah, we believe that promoting these trails that will actually get people out, more active, more attention on the trails, and maybe get a little bit more budget as the public starts enjoying these places. And BC Park says, hey, people are getting out, they like these places, we better maintain that logging road, we better clear those trails, we better put up some trailhead signs so people know and know how to get to these places. So therefore, through social media, through our online presence, as we share information about these experiences that we have, I guess our philosophy is do unto others as you'd have done to yourself. And like I said at the beginning, this information, whether it's electric vehicles, details about hiking, this is information I have been looking for in the past. So I'm sharing that now. The same information I was looking for, I'm providing as I get it. So our philosophy is to share that And what we're finding, to be honest, is some people decide to share back information that they normally wouldn't have because they see that we're reaching out, and this is starting to build a pipeline of information for places that we will explore in this coming year. So very grateful seeing those examples, trying to be part of that solution. And will we share everything that we know about? Probably not everything with everyone, but where it makes sense, I guess. You know, that's always tough. Got to use good judgment and common sense, which common sense maybe isn't so common anymore, I guess. But anyways, getting back to the topic, our hope is that as we share, people will get out, they'll gain a little bit more, and this is a key word, confidence, to enjoy the backcountry a bit more. Just like I had to gain confidence. Even coming out in this forest here in the summer, in the winter, Adventure Dog and I, we've met bears, we've met moose. Perhaps you've seen some of those clips, and learn how to deal with all the stuff that you come across in the backcountry. Better to do it when you're close to home, in territory that you understand better, under more controlled circumstances than, again, in the backcountry where consequences could be a lot more extreme. Not trying to downplay, you know, running into a moose or a bear or something like that can be fatal anywhere. But again, sharing that information as we experience it and hoping that people gain the confidence and they get out in their community and they get out in the backcountry in their area and enjoy what they have. Be happy with what you have, people. I've lived here for over a decade, and I'll be honest, it wasn't until recent years I actually started to enjoy the backcountry here, to get out, see what was in nature, see what's around me, and now I say I'm blown away. I feel that there's more than a lifetime it's going to take to explore just the things I know about today, let alone what I'm going to learn tomorrow. So that's part of the philosophy behind sharing on social media. Does it mean trails won't become overrun? No, that's a risk that is there. Perfect example that people have brought up is the Berg Lake Trail in Mount Robson. But I look at that as, that's a world-renowned trail, which is not so much a trail like it is a freeway. It's like wide, better condition than this. And anyone can go up that trail without putting in much effort, get to Kinney Lake, that first 4 kilometers, and see a beautiful sight in the Alpine. And because it's so easily accessible, lots of people go. A lot of the places that you've seen on the channel, they're not easy to get to, or not easy to get to the places that we go, which means a few things. It means people are going to need to build up confidence, build up strength, know how that journey works. And how do you get there? How did we get there? We're going to share those experiences. We're going to help you by getting you started and showing you this is how we got started. This is how you actually get to the trail. You might get to a place like Baldy Mountain or Viking Ridge or Raven Lake, and you might say, wow, I got to the trailhead, I see where it is, I walked in a few hundred meters, and I'm gonna die. Well, that's okay. That's where it all started for me on the Fang Trail in Ebanoff Provincial Park in 2020. I could not keep my breath. It was tough. And my children and their friends were running ahead, and they were just looking back at me like, dude, what's your problem? And you know, you can change that. If you want to change that, you can. And I did. So once again, hoping that these experiences that we share on the channel are beneficial to you, and you see that value and you share back, and both of us get something out of that.
Body and bread, blood and wine, there's a time to live, time to die, and a time to be. Slow down and listen for a heartbeat, with everything in motion. Say a word, hold a hand. Life is not the sum of what we plan, but the in-between. This miracle of human life and the body and time that we occupy, it is all together sacred. Slow down and listen for a heartbeat, with everything in motion. Oh, here now, see the beauty that is woven in every single moment.